He used to say that sadness was just proof of how deeply you'd loved someone, that grief was the echo of something beautiful. Those words ring differently now. He wasn't supposed to leave this soon. He was supposed to grow old, to see his daughter walk across a graduation stage, to walk her down the aisle, to smile that same warm smile America fell in love with when we first met him on our television screens. But instead, Malcolm Jamal Warner came home in a casket, and the truth about how that happened has been buried beneath a tide of lies, money, and silence. The last time the public saw him alive, he was laughing. A single flower, tucked behind his ear by his little girl for her birthday, brightened his face. "There's always a reason to smile," he told the camera. Hours later, that smile was gone forever. Officials said it was simple, a drowning. They insisted his daughter hadn't even been in the water, but people who were actually there tell a different story. They say they saw him fighting a riptide, his arms pulling his child toward safety in what became his final act of love. They call it a father's last stand, a goodbye in the form of a rescue. So why then was that part of the story scrubbed clean? And why, within a single day of his death, did his wife allegedly move more than $12 million in assets into her own name, block any chance for an autopsy, and deny his daughter one last moment to say goodbye? Then came Regina King, not with accusations, but with a quiet, haunting grief. Once she had been the woman in his life. Their love was public, celebrated, a union of two icons of Black Hollywood. And then, without warning, it ended. She said she never saw it coming. No explanation, no closure, just a Valentine's Day. That broke her heart. Years later, tragedy would strike her own life when her only son took his own life. She once said grief is love with no place to go. So when news of Malcolm's death broke, the world waited to see what she would say. Her tribute was short, a photo of him on his motorcycle, and the words, "Some people leave a lasting imprint, not just for who they were, but for the energy they carried. Ride in power." It wasn't bitter, it wasn't loud, but it carried a weight, an unspoken darkness, as though she knew more than she would ever say, because Malcolm wasn't just an actor. In his final months, he'd been quietly working on something he called Theoples. No one knew exactly what it was until a private email surfaced, allegedly sent to a journalist friend. It spoke of encrypted files containing documents that, if exposed, could shake the foundations of Hollywood and beyond. The message ended with one line that chills everyone who's read it. "If anything happens to me, know it wasn't an accident." The official account of his death was too neat. July 20th, 2025. Cockles Beach, Costa Rica. A clear sky, golden water shimmering under the sun. The man who once lit up living rooms across America stood on the sand, a flower in his hair, laughing. Hours later, he was dead. The authorities wrote their report quickly. Accidental drowning, daughter not in the water, no foul play suspected. But real tragedies rarely tie up so neatly, and those who were present say the truth was far messier. A surfer swears he saw Malcolm's daughter struggling against a dangerous current, her small hands flailing above the water. Malcolm dove in, after her, battling the ocean with everything he had. Another man says the Red Cross treated the girl on shore, while Malcolm lay pale and gasping, desperately in need of help. Lifeguards weren't even on duty at this notorious beach, and rescue resources were allegedly sent elsewhere. Yet those details never made it to the public. Heroes complicate stories, and a heroic father's death raises too many questions. The first sign of something deeper came almost immediately. While fans were still reeling and social media flooded with tributes, his wife allegedly called her attorney, not to arrange a memorial, but to secure the $12 million estate in her own name. By the next day, it was done. Then came the alleged refusal of a final goodbye for his daughter and the urgent push for immediate cremation. No autopsy, no toxicology, no opportunity for an independent medical examiner to challenge the official story. Ashes, after all, can't talk. As the grief settled over those who loved him, whispers about Theophiles grew louder. Some claimed it was evidence of financial crimes involving major studios. Others said it implicated celebrities and politicians in scandals far darker. A few even suggested it reached into the circles of billionaires with global influence. The name itself was a clever disguise, part Theo, from the role that made him famous, and part Files, hiding in plain sight for anyone who knew where to look. Friends say that in the months before his death, Malcolm became more withdrawn, more guarded. In one conversation, he told a confidant, "Once you know certain things, you either carry them forever or you share them, but sharing comes with a cost." Days before his trip to Costa Rica, he allegedly told someone close to him that he had something ready to release, and that once it was out, no one could bury it. He never got the chance. In the week after his death, people connected to him reported being approached by unnamed officials, asking about his laptop, phone, and hard drives. They weren't police or FBI. His wife claimed the laptop was missing. The phone had been wiped and the drives were gone. If it sounds too convenient, that's because it is. But some believe Malcolm left a failsafe, a hidden backup, somewhere no one has thought to search yet. If it exists, and if it surfaces, his death will be seen not as a tragedy, but as a takedown. A deliberate silencing. Online, the movement began to grow. Fans pieced together timelines, compared eyewitness accounts, and dissected the contradictions. On Reddit, threads exploded with speculation. On TikTok, the video of Malcolm's final birthday moment with his daughter went viral, not just because it was sweet, but because of the chilling knowledge of what came after. And then came a leak, an anonymous email sent to a major journalist, with a link to a watermarked PDF titled Theopiles, Part 1. It wasn't the full cache, but it was enough. Pages of dates, names, and meeting locations. Screenshots of emails between entertainment executives discussing damage control tied to an unnamed actor. One of the names in those emails belonged to someone who had been on that beach the day Malcolm died. The account that sent the file vanished within hours, but the damage was done. The file began circulating in underground forums. It became clear that this wasn't only about silencing Malcolm, it was about warning others. Then the heartbreak deepened. Malcolm's daughter appeared in a short, silent video posted by a family friend. She sat on a couch, clutching the same flower she'd placed in his hair that final morning. She didn't speak, but her eyes said more than words ever could. That clip gained millions of views within hours, with one comment echoing the public mood. "She knows more than they'll ever let her say." A former member of Malcolm's security team stepped forward next, speaking under anonymity. He claimed Malcolm had requested extra protection in recent months, not from fans, but from people who don't like being exposed. He remembered Malcolm telling him, "If something happens to me on a trip, it won't be an accident." The pattern was now impossible to ignore. Beloved public figures, sudden accidents, rushed cremations, missing devices, whispers of dangerous truths. And now, a partially revealed file that could tie it all together. The internet refused to let the story fade. People shared old clips of Malcolm speaking about injustice and untold stories. Hashtags like "Shock Justice for Malcolm" surged. Even those who had never met him felt the weight of what had been taken. The silence from Regina King since her tribute only fuels speculation. Maybe she's protecting herself. Maybe she's holding back until the moment is right. Or maybe she has a piece of this puzzle the rest of us have yet to see. But one thing is clear. The people who want this story buried are counting on time to erase outrage. That's why keeping Malcolm's name alive matters. Because the tide always turns. And when it does, the things hidden beneath it have a way of washing ashore. Somewhere, the rest of Theopiles still exists. And when it finally comes to light, the world will learn the truth about what happened on that beach in Costa Rica, and why Malcolm Jamal Warner's last act of love for his daughter may have cost him his life. Until then, his image lingers. The flower, the smile, the waves, the unspoken warning. If anything happens to me, know it wasn't an accident. The fight for the truth is far from over. And the people trying to hide it, they've already lost because we're still talking.